Hi there. So this video is going to be a quick introduction to some of the terminology that you'll see when talking about polynomials. So you can see that the terminology you need to know is bolded within the questions, and we're going to do 3 examples so we can make sure we all understand when I say these specific words. So you can see in number 1, we have a bunch of stuff added and subtracted. You can see numbers, you can see variables. So the first thing you need to know is what a term is. Terms are separated by plus and minus signs. So here's a term, here's another term, 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 term. So you see that each time you get a plus or a minus, it's separating a new term. So you can see in this example, there are 5 terms. So in part A, how many terms are in the polynomial above? There are 5. Part B, is it written in descending order? So descending order is referring to the exponent. Descending means going down. So it wants to know, are the exponents going down as you read the polynomial from left to right? Yes, the first exponent is 4, then a 3, then a 2, then there's not an exponent written, so that's understood to be a 1. And then you have the constant term. The constant term is the term that does not have a variable attached to it. So the -8 is called the constant. So part B, is it written in descending order? Yes, because the variable's exponents are decreasing as you read the polynomial from left to right. What is the degree of the polynomial? So the degree of the polynomial is the largest exponent on any individual factor. So you can see that this exponent is a 4, and that's the largest exponent on any variable that you see. So the degree of the polynomial is 4, because that's the largest exponent. Part D, what is the constant term? So the constant term is the one that has no variable, like we said just a few seconds ago. So that would be -8. What is the leading term? This is important to recognize this. The leading term doesn't mean the term in front. It means the term in front if it's in descending order. The leading term means the term with the highest exponent. So this is the term with the highest exponent. So the leading term is 5x to the 4th. And in this case, it is the first one, and that's because it's in descending order. So the leading term is 5x to the 4th. What is the leading coefficient? Coefficient means the number in front of the variable. So the leading means the leading term, and the coefficient of that is 5. So the leading coefficient is just the number in the front of the leading term. Okay, so again, I didn't even define a polynomial. A polynomial is a collection of terms added and subtracted together where the exponents are positive integers, okay, or whole numbers, I should say. Okay, so let's look at number 2. First question, how many terms are in the polynomial above? You can see that there are 1, 2, 3. So 3 terms. A polynomial applies to no matter how many terms you have, but something with 3 terms has a special name. It's called a trinomial. So a 3-term polynomial is called a trinomial. Notice the root word tri for 3. Is it written in descending order? So for that, you want to look at the exponents. So the first exponent that you see is a 1. The next exponent is a 2. So that is not in descending order. You often want to write your polynomial in descending order because it helps you identify the leading term easily. And it's also good because when we start factoring, which we're going to do soon, you need it to be in descending order generally. All right, so let's write it in descending order. So the highest exponent I see is a square, so I'm going to write that term first. Then after a square, I want the x to the first. So I'm going to write negative 3x next. And then the last thing will be the constant. So that's how you would write it in descending order. The degree of the polynomial, remember, is the highest exponent on any variable. So that would be 2. What is the constant term? That's negative 8. The leading term. So if you look at your original, notice the leading term is not the first term. Remember, the leading term is the term with the highest exponent. When it's written in descending order, it is the first term. So the leading term is 2x squared. And then the leading coefficient is the number in the front of that, so 2. All right, one more example just to make sure we all understand. We have now this polynomial. How many terms do you see? Hopefully you see 2, right? So there are 2 terms. A 2-term polynomial is called a binomial, right? Bi means 2. So 2-term polynomial can be called a binomial. There's also another one that has a special name called a monomial, mono meaning 1. So this would be a 1-term polynomial. Maybe 3x would be an example. Okay, so back to number 3. Is it written in descending order? Yes. I have an exponent of 3, and then I have no exponent, right? The constant. So yes. What's the degree of the polynomial? So the highest exponent is 3, so the degree is 3. What is the constant term? It's 8. What's the leading term? Since it's in descending order, the leading term is the first term. So it is this negative 5y cubed. And then the leading coefficient is the negative 5. And you do include that negative when you're referring to the leading term and the leading coefficient.